this video, we are going to learn how to divide a fraction by a fraction. Whenever we want to divide a fraction by another fraction, we need to remember 3 steps. Keep, change, flip. Now what does this mean? This means that we need to keep the first fraction, change the division sign into a multiplication sign, and flip the second fraction. To understand the process, let us consider an example. Let us consider 1 over 4 divided by 2 over 3. So we want to divide the fraction 1 over 4 by the fraction 2 over 3. How do we do this? So what is the first step? The first step is to keep the first fraction. That means that we're just going to write the first fraction. It's 1 over 4, we write 1 over 4. The next step is to change the division sign into a multiplication sign. So we write a multiplication sign. And next we need to flip the second fraction. Now what do we mean when we say flip the fraction? We just need to interchange the numerator and the denominator. That is, we need to interchange the number on top and the number on the bottom. So the number on top, that is 2, that will go to the bottom, and the number on the bottom, that is 3, will go to the top. So what do we end up with? Instead of 2 over 3, we have 3 over 2. And now our problem has been changed into a multiplication problem. So now we can solve this problem by using the rule for the multiplication of 2 fractions. How do we do that? We write the fraction line, and in the numerator, we multiply the numerators of the original 2 fractions. Now, in this case, the numerators of the original 2 fractions are 1 and 3, because these 2 are the numbers on top. So we're going to write 1 times 3. And the denominators are the numbers on the bottom. So we have 4 and 2. And we're going to multiply these denominators and write that in the denominator of the resultant fraction. So we end up with 4 times 2. And this is equal to 1 times 3, which is 3, divided by 4 times 2, which is 8. And so this is our required answer. That is, 1 over 4 divided by 2 over 3 is equal to 3 over 8. Now let us have a look at why this process works. Let us consider the previous example again. Let us consider 1 over 4 divided by 2 over 3. Now first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite this problem in a different way. We write the fraction line. In the numerator, we write 1 over 4. And in the denominator, we write 2 over 3. So what do we end up with? We end up with 1 over 4 divided by 2 over 3. And that is exactly the same problem as we have over here. 1 over 4 divided by 2 over 3. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to write an equivalent fraction. And to do that, we are going to multiply the numerator and denominator of this fraction over here by the reciprocal of the fraction in the denominator. That is, we are going to multiply the numerator and denominator by the reciprocal of 2 over 3. Now, how do we obtain the reciprocal of 2 over 3? We interchange the numerator and the denominator. Now, the numerator of 2 over 3 is 2, so we write 2 in the denominator of the new fraction, and the denominator of 2 over 3 is 3, so we write that in the numerator of the new fraction. So the reciprocal of 2 over 3 is 3 over 2, and we're going to multiply these two numbers. Now, we want an equivalent fraction, so in the numerator, we're going to have to multiply by that same number, 3 over 2. So this is what we get. Now, what do we end up with? Now, in the numerator, we will have 1 over 4 times 3 over 2. And in the denominator, we have 2 over 3 times 3 over 2. Now, whenever we multiply a fraction by its reciprocal, we end up with 1. And whenever we divide any number by 1, we get that number itself. So if we divide 1 over 4 times 3 over 2 by 1, then we will get that same number, 1 over 4 times 3 over 2. And so that means that this is equal to 1 over 4 times 3 over 2. So what have we ended up with? We can see that we now keep the first fraction, and then we change the division sign into a multiplication sign, and then we flip the second fraction, and this is what we get. So what do we end up with? We end up with keep, change, flip. And so basically, when we use this process of keep, change, flip, what we're actually doing is we're just multiplying the first fraction by the reciprocal of the second fraction. And that is another way of remembering the process to divide two fractions. All we need to do is multiply the first fraction by the reciprocal of the second fraction. Next, let us have a look at a few practice problems. First of all, we have 5 over 7 divided by 3 over 4. Now, how do we do this? We keep, change, flip. So we keep the first fraction, 5 over 7. We change the division sign into a multiplication sign, and we flip the second fraction. So instead of 3 over 4, we end up with 4 over 3. Now, how do we multiply two fractions? We write the fraction line. In the numerator, we multiply the numerators of the original two fractions, and in the denominator, we multiply the denominators of the original two fractions. So we have 5 times 4, which is 20, divided by 7 times 3, which is 21, and so this is our required answer. That is, 5 over 7 divided by 3 over 4 is equal to 20 over 21. Now let us have a look at the next problem. We have 6 over 11 divided by 3 over 2. So we are going to keep, change, flip. So we keep the first fraction, 6 over 11. We change the division sign into a multiplication sign, and we flip the second fraction. So instead of 3 over 2, we end up with 2 over 3. Now let us multiply these two fractions. We write the fraction line. In the numerator, we multiply the numerators of the original two fractions, and in the denominator, we multiply the denominators of the original two fractions. So we have 6 times 2, which is 12, divided by 11 times 3, which is 33. Now note that the greatest common factor of 12 and 33 is 3, so we divide the numerator 12 by 3, and we divide the denominator 33 by 3 as well. And then what do we obtain? We obtain 12 divided by 3, which is 4, divided by 33 divided by 3, which is 11, and so this is our required answer. 6 over 11 divided by 3 over 2 is equal to 4 over 11. Now let us move on to the next problem. We have 8 over 9 divided by 8 over 9. Now recall that whenever we divide a number by itself, we end up with 1. So 8 over 9 divided by 8 over 9 should be equal to 1. Let's do this problem. So what do? We keep the first fraction, 8 over 9. Then we change the division sign into a multiplication sign, and then we flip the second fraction, 8 over 9. So we end up with 9 over 8. Now let's multiply these two fractions. So we write the fraction line. In the numerator, we multiply the numerators of the original two fractions, and in the denominator, we multiply the denominators of the original two fractions. So we have 8 times 9, which is 72, divided by 9 times 8, which is 72. And whenever we divide a number by itself, we end up with 1. So 72 over 72 is 1. And so 8 over 9 divided by 8 over 9 is equal to 1. Now let us move on to the next problem. What do we have here? We have 1 over 4 divided by 2 over 5. Now we can write this in a more familiar form as 1 over 4 divided by 2 over 5. And this is because this fraction line over here, this represents divided by. So we have 1 over 4 divided by 2 over 5. So we can use keep, change, flip, but for this problem, let us consider the second way of thinking of division problems. That is, we multiply the first fraction by the reciprocal of the second fraction. And what is the reciprocal of 2 over 5? That will be 5 over 2. It is what we obtain on flipping the fraction. It's what we obtain on interchanging the numerator and the denominator. So next, what do? We write the fraction line. In the numerator, we multiply the numerators of the original two fractions, and in the denominator, we multiply the denominators of the original two fractions. So we have 1 times 5, which is 5, divided by 4 times 2, which is 8, and so this is our required answer. 1 over 4 divided by 2 over 5 is equal to 5 over 8. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. See you next time.